They're nice.
Thank you, everybody, for coming to tonight's Village of Dundee Council meeting. And we have the roll call, please.
President Bourdin,
Here.
Trustee Polito,
Here.
Trustee Hickey,
Here.
Trustee McClendon,
Here.
Trustee Reeves,
Here.
Trustee Horky,
Here.
Trustee Schroeder.
Here.
And before we have the Pledge of Allegiance, could we have a moment of silence afterwards for my friend Lucy Goodridge? She's 92 years old. She passed away last week. She was Dundee's sesquicentennial queen here in Dundee in 1974, and she cut hair for 37 years, and she'll be sadly missed. So now we can do the pledge. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It wasn't bad.
Thank you for your courtesy.
Before we do the approve of the agenda, Clerk has a couple items that she has to add. Teresa?
Under Petitions and Communications, we need to add a letter from Attorney Phil Costello. And under New Business, we need to add C, Bell Estates approval of conditional rezoning.
All right, hearing that, could we have approval of tonight's agenda? Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
It's been approved and seconded. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none and seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 5, approval of the minutes. That would be the public hearing, September 17, 2019, regular meeting minutes, September 17th. Do I have a motion to approve the past minutes?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Reeves and seconded by Trustee Horky to approve the public hearing minutes and the regular meeting minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Number 6, Petitions and Communications. Would you like to read that new letter that just dropped off here a minute ago?
Didn't we have that as B?
The Petitions and Communication, would you like to read this letter that was just dropped off here,
But
Teresa?
did you add it to B?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, so the citizens' comments is agenda item 6A. The letter was added as,
B.
6B.
So you need to read that.
Oh, it was 6B, you want to go, you want to go to the public comment first?
That's the way the agenda was written.
So you put 6B. Okay.
You gotta do A first.
So that way the citizens won't be able to talk on the agenda item
If
that
it's
just
an-
got approved this
if-
last minute.
If it's an agenda item and we voted to amend the agenda, that is
Yeah.
therefore something that they can talk about because it's an agenda item. It is placed as 6B, which means it comes after the citizens' comments.
That is correct.
You have to read.
So that means if you have the citizens' comments first and then we have this letter written, they won't know what the letter is until after they've spoke.
It was added as B.
It was added as B.
You know, don't you think there should be public comment?
It was already
After.
added as B.
It was added as B.
There is
What?
one at the end of the, Fred's right, though.
You
There
should have
is another
changed it
public
down.
So why reading?
Under B, we
Yeah,
added it as
we're
B.
doing A.
So we're doing A.
It's
If
already
you
been
wanted it
voted
the
on.
other way around, you should have suggested the motion to be the other way around.
Okay. Is there any citizens' comments on the agenda items?
What do you want to look
Tonight.
at the bottom, Fred? Well, I think there's another citizen comment at the end of the
On
meeting, right
non-agenda
here.
items.
Yeah, I mean, there's citizens' comments on agenda items, which is usually
Right there.
right there.
right there at the end.
Citizens' comments.
So they can talk about it on non-agenda items.
They've got-
Okay.
So you need.
Okay. So citizen comments on agenda items. Please limit your comments to 4 minutes per person. Public comment is provided at both the beginning and the end of the board meeting. The purpose of public comment is to provide an opportunity for a member of the public to speak. The role of the board is to listen attentively, and we thank you in advance for sharing your thoughts and ideas. All members of the public who speak during public comment will need to state their name. We have designated up to 4 minutes per person for each topic presented. The board's role is to listen to the care and concerns of the community. The manager or designee will follow up concerning the comments as soon as possible. Please contact the village manager's office if you have any additional questions.
So is there any citizens' comments on agenda items, or just any citizens' comments right now? Well, hearing none, we will go to Petitions and Communications 6B.
This is a letter from Attorney Philip A. Costello. He is the HUD attorney, and it is addressed to Village Council President. Dear Sir, the Dundee Housing Commission has asked me to review your actions that relate to a commission and to advise you of the proper role of a Village Council President vis-a-vis the Housing Commission. Rawson Place is operated by the Dundee Housing Commission. The commission selects its executive director, hires its other staff, and establishes its policies. The commissioners are appointed by the Village Council. Therefore, as president of the Village Council, you have a vote on who is appointed to the commission. Under this arrangement, you do not have the power to change commission policies and personnel, contrary to statements that have been attributed to you. I have information that you have been conducting an investigation on the executive director of the Housing Commission. I was disappointed to learn that you had interviewed Housing Commission staff and residents. Some interview questions involved entirely personal matters unrelated to her job performance. You reportedly arranged for some residents to keep track of Commission staff activities and to take unauthorized photographs of them. You were also observed stopping at the executive director's private home and peering into it. As attorney for the Housing Commission, I'm informing you that a Village Council President does not have any responsibility or right to investigate the executive director of the Housing Commission. Instead, the activities reported to me constitute actionable harassment and a breach of privacy. They must stop immediately. Rawson Place property is restricted to residents, their visitors and guests, and DHC commissioners and staff. Certain others, such as service providers, law enforcement, mail and parcel delivery persons, and contractors, while legitimately serving DHS purposes, are welcome. Thank you for your anticipated cooperation. Sincerely, Philip A. Costello.
Is there a motion to have the petitions and communications put on file? And discussion on the motion after if a motion to place on file?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the petitions and communications in this letter be placed on file. Does anybody have anything to say about this letter? Well, I do. It's not true, and I sure don't peek into windows and stuff on the director. This is just simply not true, and it's just another thing that's going on in this town that is near illegal, and it's a shame that our leadership would go to this extreme to send something or insinuate that I would do something so disrespectful. Is there any other comments that are needed to be said on this?
I would like to just comment, this, just so that it's clear, this was actually communicated to me by Phil Costello on a phone call. I was not initiated by anybody here at the village, to be clear, that this was initiated by Mr. Costello, just so the council was aware. I didn't even know where it came from or what had happened, and I indicated to Mr. Costello that he should, if he has a complaint, that he should put it in writing and provide it to the council, because it did not come, just so that it's clear, it did not come from anybody at council that had initiated this. This was completely from Mr. Costello, and if he did not want to appear in person, so rather than that, I said, you don't want to appear in person, and I indicated to him that as a village president, now we have no authority to do anything relative to, he's an elected official, he has every right to sit in his position. You can send your communication, but this is not something that the council initiated. Anybody from the council or any of the council or any employees of the village, as I'm aware. This came to me from Mr. Costello. I don't know if he had even spoken to anybody else. I received a phone call from him.
Then may I ask, why didn't you just contact me?
Mainly because, number one, it's not my responsibility for, first of all, I don't know whether it's true or not. I've not done an investigation. This is a matter that he has indicated, and frankly, I wouldn't have contacted anybody relative to this. If he's got a complaint, if the council wishes to investigate, then at that point, we would do that. But at this point, this is just his statement, and I'm not vouching for its veracity or lack of veracity or whatever. I mean, I don't know anything about this situation. This is the first time that when Phil said this, I said, Phil, I'm not going to begin an investigation into anything at this point because frankly, I'm not authorized to.
Well, that's true, and it isn't true, so why would it be dropped on here the 30 seconds before the meeting started?
I don't know why we dropped the last 30 seconds, but we received the correspondence, and it is a correspondence that any communication is supposed to be brought before the council.
Can I make a point that this couldn't have been included in the packet as is because the date of the letter is October 14th. So I just want it noted that the date on the letter says October 14th and today is the 15th.
So why not bring it up, I'm just throwing questions out here, why not bring it up our next meeting? Why bring a fictitious letter up here? And there's been fictitious letters in the past, and the commissioner or two out at the housing has cleared me of anything in the past, and they will surely speak up tonight and clear me of this. It looks kind of phony that this comes the last minute before we start a meeting, rather than doing some investigating on it, rather than just throw it out there.
If we get a petition or communication, it's just like if we would have gotten a letter yesterday from a citizen. Any of the citizens out there to include them. That's what we're supposed to do. So,
And
Now, if it's council's wish to investigate that letter, then a motion to be made
Right.
requesting that the communication be investigated and reported back to council, and providing an investigation in that respect. that's, like I said, we're not,
It
no,
just,
there is no statement of the truth or veracity of those comments. Those are comments that were received, whether they're true or not true. It's never been investigated, but it is a communication that the
And-
received.
I got a letter today from a gentleman, and I get letters sent to me, with some with no names, and I put them on the table and file them, and then some with names, but I don't bring it up here the last minute to drop it on the console.
This was not directed to any one person. It was directed to.
It says Tim Bordine, village president.
And since he had also raised that issue with me, I felt it was important that, number one, if the council wishes to investigate it, and if there is a motion to investigate, that it be investigated. Otherwise, it's just a communication, and if the council doesn't want to investigate it, that's that.
Tim, can I ask you a question? Do you want this investigated? Because as
No, it isn't true, and I'm sure somebody will say something tonight to verify that this isn't true. But my point is, why are these things directed at me? Here I am, the village president, trying to do good for the community, and then these false things, I get letters too, but I don't bring them here.
Well, if you're receiving communications regarding the village, they should be out here.
But some of them don't have names on them. So what good, you know, and I've asked Shirley when we had no names on them, and she says, we don't talk about those things.
This is not something without a name. This has a name attached to it, and if there is something that comes with a name on it, and it's communication, good, bad, or indifferent, it should be brought to the council's attention relative to those communications.
But it doesn't have anything to do with the council, other than the past councils or something, that very prominent people in Dundee are seeing what I'm trying to do to help the community honestly, and then they're just showing their support.
As I said, this is not a statement of the truth or veracity of those allegations. If you'd like to have them investigated, there can be a motion made to investigate the allegations and report back to council on those issues.
Well, I just think we ought to just have the petitions and communications and just file it. John? This is...
No,
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh, okay,
No,
we
no,
won't
no.
do this right now. We'll let you get up there during, during the citizens' comments.
I call the question.
All right, let's, do we have a motion to accept
Oh, yeah.
the petitions and communications?
Correct.
And
That was done.
that was done, so could you repeat the motion and second, Teresa?
It was moved by trustee Schroeder and supported by trustee Hickey to approve the petitions and communications in place on file.
All right, in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we go to consent agenda. The Halloween party, the Halloween proclamation would be 7A, and 7B is the payment of the bills of $280,720.34. The Halloween proclamation on the consent agenda is Thursday, October 31st, 2019. Trick or treat will be at 5:30 to 7 p.m. Do I have a motion to accept tonight's consent agenda?
I'll make the motion to tonight's consent agenda. For A,
Second.
the Halloween proclamation, and B, payment of bills of $280,720.34, excuse me.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the consent agenda of, is there any, there's no discussion on this, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we go to 8A, new business, changes to the council procedure and ethic ordinances. And Fred, I guess you're supposed to explain this because there's nothing here on our packet.
Well, I'm still in the process of writing it, and what I want to make sure is that we are very clear in terms of where we are going with We have already a resolution that we had passed concerning council practices. Because of the various issues that have arisen in the past, we feel I suggest and I feel it's important that we identify and state specifically the role of the council members, and how the meetings are to be run, and the order and the process. It's important, I believe, that obviously, as I have indicated to you all, each council member has a right to his or her opinion, but those opinions should be kept in a civil discussion, that we need to respect each other's rights to an opinion, but we must also avoid doing things which are going to bring disrepute to the village and to the council. Also, to avoid situations where we may create potential liabilities for the council for claims against members. I have most of the draft done. I will have the entire draft completed at the next council meeting, and it will include issues with regards to the processes here at council relative to ethics, changes to how and what matters are to be discussed relative to the council comments in terms of what can be brought up, because I know there was some issues we had last time. I want to make sure that that's clear. What constitutes a legitimate council comments? Again, not without having any decision relative to the nature of those comments. Not here to talk about the content of anybody's comments. You all have the right to speak on those terms that you want, just to provide greater order to the methodology that we're following, so that we operate more smoothly. And also, as I say, with respect to those processes, how each of us will recognize and give council members the respect that they're due for their processes and for their efforts here on behalf of council. So that's what I'm working on, and I should have it to you. I thought I'd have it done today, but I got tied up in a federal court matter and didn't get a chance to finish it, so I'll get that finished before the next meeting.
So then, is there any discussion on this? Would the council, it's your pleasure here, would you like to table this until the next council meeting, until Fred Lucas
We have
finishes?
Well, and there's
Yeah,
not
we
a
kinda have
motion to.
Nothing to
worry
present.
about.
Nothing to present. Thank you, Fred.
So we don't need a motion, we're just gonna go to the next one. Is everybody in agreement that we need to table this until the next,
It's,
just let it go until the next time? Okay. Any objections to that? Okay, so we'll go to business B. Dundee Junior Vikings Charitable Gaming License. Brian, would you like to elaborate on that?
I think actually,
There's somebody
if
there.
we have any questions, the secretary of the Junior Vikings are here, but I know that I can speak to this is just the same resolution that we've done in the past for both the PTA as well as the Pride Boosters Club. All the resolution does is recognize that they are a nonprofit within the village of Dundee. So they do have nonprofit status and they do reside in the village of Dundee. And the secretary is here if there's any questions.
Is there any questions from the council? Dundee Junior Vikings applying for a charitable gaming license.
I move to accept a resolution acknowledging that the Dundee Junior Vikings are a nonprofit within the village of Dundee so that they can apply for their charitable gaming license.
I'll second.
There's been a motion to accept the Dundee Junior Vikings charitable gaming license by trustee Hickey and seconded by trustee Horkey. This will be, is there any discussion on this motion? This will be a roll call vote. So Teresa, would you please have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee McClendon?
Yes.
Trustee Hickey?
Yes.
Trustee Polito?
Yes.
Trustee Schroeder,
Yes.
Trustee Horky,
Yes.
Trustee Reeves,
Yes.
President Bordine.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Now we go to 8C, new business. Bell Estates, approval of rezoning.
At the last Planning Commission meeting, a conditional rezoning request was heard by the Planning Commission, and it's my understanding that the Planning Commission, I haven't minutes yet, but it's my understanding that the Planning Commission has recommended to the council that the conditional rezoning of the Bell Estates properties for Dundee Place Apartments Phases 3 and 4 be approved. Ultimately, as you know, zoning decisions are decisions which must be approved by the council. The Planning Commission is only in a position to make recommendations concerning that. You do not have a motion in front of you because I am still awaiting from the surveyor a definition of, there is a part of the process here, part of the conditions that were imposed by the Planning Commission was to require that there be an access between phases 3 and 4 that would cross a detention pond area that is presently existing. In order for that to occur, I need to get a legal description so that I can draft that into the motion itself. Even in the absence of that, council can vote to approve the conditional rezoning as recommended by the Planning Commission. And it's my understanding that that conditional rezoning does have certain requirements that as recommended by the Planning Commission. One of them being, as I say, the signed agreement relative to the access over the detention area for access between phases 3 and 4. They must revise all sidewalks and pathways to comply with the village ordinances concerning the same. They request that the applicant is required to make a deposit to the village tree fund in the amount of $20,000 for landscaping, for landscaping that they are unable to install due to limitations. Any residential subdivision or comprising 20 or more lots, either as a single development or a group of adjacent developments, shall provide an active recreational area, which shall contain an area equal in size to 1,200 square feet for each lot or dwelling unit in the subdivision. And the applicant has provided 3,638 square feet. There are 3 buildings of 36 dwelling units per building for a total of 108 dwelling units. Also, the applicant must submit appropriate paperwork to the village engineer to complete the proposed boundary adjustment and file it with the township assessor. And the recommendation is that the applicant post a cash bond or performance bond in the amount of $100,000 before issuing a building permit to be held until all phases are complete. Those are the conditions that were placed. The use of this property would be limited to just this development, not any other uses under the zoning that would be the multiple family zoning and conditions. And once we have the written description of the area where the access will occur, they will be put to you in a written form, but the board can, at this point, vote to approve the conditional zoning with the conditions as imposed by the Planning Commission.
And they're ready to start construction.
I went to that, excuse me, I went to that Planning Commission meeting, and I didn't see anybody else there from the council. Would you like to wait or on something so you know more about it, or are you going to take the Planning Commission word that, everything's fine? It was good on my part. I agreed with the Planning Commission. But it's up to you guys. You need more information to later? It's council pleasure.
Ultimately, we typically take the approval from the planning commission because they are the people who are supposed to be the most knowledgeable about it. So I'd like to move to accept the conditional rezoning recommended by the planning commission for the development at Bell Estates.
It's been moved and seconded to approve of the additional development of Bell Estates and rezoning of Bell Estates, and that would be a roll call vote.
As imposed by the
Planning Commission, very good. And Teresa can correct that to make it proper. So now that'll be a roll call vote. Teresa?
Trustee Hickey?
Yes.
Trustee Polito?
Yes.
Trustee Schroeder?
Yes.
Trustee Horky?
Yes.
Trustee Reeves?
Yes.
Trustee McClendon?
Yes.
President Bodine?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Now we come to item 9, old business, which there's none, so we'll be coming to 10, upcoming training opportunities, the SEMCOG training, pollution prevention, good housekeeping is October 23rd, 2019, 1 to 3:30 p.m. Doesn't say right here where it's at. And we have 10B, the FOIA training, November 6, 2019, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's the Freedom of Information Act, and that will be held in the Rockwood Police Department. Will be hosting a FOIA training session conducted by Laura Hinkey, Manager, Michigan State Police Records Resource Section. That's just for our purposes only. So next, we have the department heads. Gary, could you come up here and explain like you did at the zoning and the planning commission to give us an update of the developments in Dundee?
It's village manager comments. I think you turned it to Dave. Dave's the village manager.
I understand.
Does it get pretty lengthy? Do I only have 4 minutes?
Yeah, go ahead. Do your best. You did an excellent job at the planning and the zoning board of appeals.
We have a lot of things going on, as a lot of you know, you that are in here on a daily basis. Senior Center we did a tour. What was it, last Friday, Dave? Did a tour. It's about 70% complete. Hotel are scheduled to open the end of this month. I don't know if they're going to make that or not. They're redoing the parking lot right now. A couple things on the agenda coming to Planning Commission would be Dairy Queen next to the BMP gas station and the Big Burger next to the Dairy Mart. Was at the Chrysler Corporation today. They're just starting to pour footers for their new 165,000 square foot warehouse. So that's up and running. Hopefully the weather will hold out for them. That's what they're praying for today, but we all know it could be snowing here tomorrow. New homes, we've got 5 or 6 new homes in Gulf Ridge. We have 9 in Dundee Ridge, just getting up. They're all getting the roof on them. There's 2 more roofs to go on there. EOI, which is the old Diamond Electric, they're about ready to get their final approval to move in there for production. I was misinformed that they did parts for 4. They also do parts for like 8 different auto companies. So they're predicting probably 200 to 400 jobs inside of 3 years there. So, which will be a big boost to. I got to be forgetting a bunch of them.
Dundee Manufacturing.
Manufacturing got a conditional approval to put in training and office facilities outside the building. Currently, they're inside. They're going to move them outside. and do a remodel to the south facility, which will also increase job capacity there.
Little Caesars?
Little Caesars is nothing. Haven't seen paperwork on that. That's close. If there's anything you got questions on, I'm here at 6 in the morning for all you early risers.
Is there any questions for Gary? No. All right, thanks, Gary.
Yep.
Chief Garbo, do you have anything to say for police comments?
Good afternoon. Unfortunately, at the last meeting, I could not attend. I had to attend to family, which is always first, so I apologize, but thank goodness for Facebook, because you can watch the videos after the fact. So with that said, I got first thing to address, Mr. Bourdine, heavy statements about myself and the village manager going rogue, and that I've heard nothing from any attorneys. But with that said, we take our allegations very serious here at the police department. And I've started the investigation, like you've asked. And I've spoke with Lyle, and he doesn't think we're going rogue. Matter of fact, Mr. Jaworski laughed quite a while, and when he got done laughing, he told me that he does not have any fears, nor does he concern himself with us taking his patio furniture. So what I'm requesting from you, sir, is that you put in writing what Mr. Bettina's told you about the event that you mentioned. And I'd like it in writing to myself by October 30th, so I can continue with that investigation. So we will investigate to its fullest.
Okay.
And if you would like for me to investigate the other issue, I'd be more than happy to do that. I know that's passed. November 14th, we have our senior summit for our senior citizens from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. All senior citizens are welcome. Old Mill. We did this last year, and we are looking forward to doing it again. We're teaming up with the Michigan State Police and a couple of our other vendors. They'll be there, and it'll be great for our citizens and for the public. We also have our Halloween flyers out. You can catch them at the front of the desk. They do have the exact time, some safety rules, and some things that we'd like for all the kids to remember, especially because it's getting dark early. Bright clothes, flashlights, of that nature, because we want everybody to be safe. We will be in full force as far as the police department. We'll have our volunteers and police services out there. We'll have our reserves out there, officers out there. So we'll make sure it's going to be a fun event for our kids, but everybody's going to stay safe. That is our intention. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
All right.
Thank you. I see Lyle in the back. Lyle, do you have anything about the DDA, the pumpkin thing you'd like to say? Or
That's not Lyle.
As you can tell, I'm not Lyle. I'm a little shorter. So, hey. I was the chairperson for Pumpkin Palooza, and it was just this past weekend. And it was a fantastic weekend. We had great weather. I ordered that early, and it came through for me, first time. We had great turnout with pumpkins. Last year we only had 8 because they were unsure of us because we were new. This year we had 18, with the largest weighing 1,674 pounds. So that was a gentleman from Grand Rapids area. So he came from Grand Rapids with this pumpkin. We also had a gentleman come from Sault Ste. Marie with this pumpkin. So it's not like these are local growers. They're coming from everywhere in the state of Michigan. So we're proud of what we've accomplished so far. And talking to the growers after the fact, they said that they really liked what we set up and how we got it set up, and they anticipate it growing even larger next year and years to come as long as we keep it up. We had a vendor show this year, first time this year, had sold 31 spaces. I got comments from a lot of the vendors saying, yeah, it was a little cold, but they really liked it. You're always going to have a few negative Nellies, but I asked for comments from them and I got them. The best one I got was, the worst thing that happened to me was I ran out of product and now I have to make more. I'll take those comments any day. Next year, we hope to expand a little bit with other events. We anticipate we had probably anywhere between 8 and 1,000 people throughout the whole time that this started. We did a lot of kid functions, and there was a whole lot of families out with their kids. We had 65 little pumpkins for kids to carve. We ran out and had to go to Harnica Farms and get more, so we ended up going through 90 pumpkins for kids to carve. And most of them were not repeat customers. They were there, they did their pumpkin, and they left. And then someone else came up, so that table was constantly booked. Kiwanis Club had games for kids. Kids had a great time with that. The businesses, for a few that complain, they shouldn't complain the next year because the restaurants were busier than anything. You couldn't get in them. Swan Creek Candle was packed. I seen pizza boxes down in the trash, so they ordered carry out and brought it down. The Beanery, the coffee place, they had a line, and I seen people, pumpkin growers in their line. So I know it did great for downtown. It did what we wanted it to do, is to bring people downtown and hit up all our small shops. And that's what our goal was, and we think we accomplished it.
Is there any questions for Mary?
Nice job.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mary, you did an excellent job, and there was a good turnout. We had great weather, and like you said, the pumpkins ran out, and John Harnica and family donated the Church of the Nazarene
Yep, I
to
got
recarve them.
got thank yous going out soon, and I'm already working on for next year. Half the vendors want to come back, so it's a good turnout, and it did, like we said, what DDA's goal is to bring the community with the businesses and our town, and that's what we did.
Thank you for representing the DDA tonight.
Thank you.
Village Council, Village Manager comments. Dave?
The only thing I have to add is Cabolo Boulevard, if you've been out there, is just about completed. Hopefully in the next 2 days, they'll have the top coat on the asphalt. And it was a good job by Gherkin. That's all I have.
Council member comments. Jordan?
Yeah, it's the Toys for Tots campaign began October 1st and will be going through December 14th. There's approximately 17 locations where anybody can drop off new unwrapped toys for the kids here in Dundee. And for more information, you can get that on the Village, DABA, and Heart of Dundee Facebook websites.
Very good. Elena?
Just to touch base again on the Pumpkin Palooza and the Old Mill. My family and I went, but I also was volunteering at the Old Mill that afternoon, and there was a lot of people coming through there, and I had some people that I knew that I didn't know were going to be coming, but a family from Monroe and another family with their kids from Petersburg. So on top of even just the pumpkin, growers from all over the state, there were other communities from our area that were really enjoying the events that we had. So good job.
Thank you. Brian?
I just want to say Tuesday, October 8th, from 5 to 6 was the official first art walk. And we had Crystal Scott here, and she curated the event. There was about 35 people there, and we actually had 2 artists that were there that could actually speak about their pieces, what inspired them. And just on that tour, it really turned out better than I would have thought it would have. I think it's a great thing. It looks good. So thank you, DPW and Crystal Scott, for putting that together. I think it looks great. September 27th, we had a homecoming parade scheduled. I apologize. Mother Nature did not work well with us, and we had to cancel it. I know the kids really love it, and they were really upset, but sometimes we can't control everything. So we're looking forward to next year having a really good parade for the community and for the kids. And I want to thank Jordan for the Toys for Tots. It's a great, great thing, and I know it takes a lot of time, and thank you for that.
All right, thanks, Brian. Denny?
Nothing to add except, again, to thank Mary. Most of you probably don't know this, but DDA picked up the Pumpkin Palooza last year at the 11th hour, and if it wasn't for Mary, it wouldn't have happened, and she did an incredible job this year. So thank you again for making the village look good and DDA look good.
In front of you is the Parks and Rec Master Plan. This was given to you. This is not for any sort of motion or anything like that. This is just so that you guys have it in your hands to review. This is now on the website, on the Village of DundeeVillageMI.gov website. It's open for public review. We do ask that you submit your comments. They have to be submitted by November 14th. So there's information out on our website about that. It'll get posted to social media as well. And it is available in hard copy in the office. If any of the residents want a copy of it, they just have to stop in and ask for it. And if you guys have any comments on it, you know, we definitely want to hear that as well. We'll put it on the agenda for discussion on November 5th. That's not when we're going to ask you to approve it. We're just going to put it on the agenda so both the citizens and the council have an open opportunity to comment on it. Again, the comments will close on the 14th. The Parks and Rec Commission will make a recommendation at that time to have the amended version brought to council if they feel it is ready, which I don't foresee any reason why it won't. So on November 14th, they'll say if they want it brought to council, and then on the 19th is when it'll officially be here, hopefully, if everything goes smoothly, to have a resolution to adopt this master plan. And this master plan is the 2020 through 2024 version.
So I know we had the Zoning Board of Appeals, you had your recreation meeting earlier?
Correct.
Thursday?
Yep.
How many people are on the recreation committee now?
There's 9 of us.
9?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Is there anything more you could add?
No, just please review the master plan. It's very important. It's what drives what grants that we can apply for. So whatever is in this, if we're missing something, it's important to get it added. A lot of it is just statistics and just information on the parks and whatnot. Our hope is to begin the process for applying for a grant in January when this is actually official, because this will go into place January 1. So we want to hit the ball, hit the ground running with this. So if you have any questions in the meantime, please reach out to me. If there's anything that's wrong, let us know.
And Spicer is a Smith or Mannequin Smith?
Lucy Fortin from Mannequin Smith.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
she's actually formerly of Carlisle Wortman, and she's also a former resident of the Village of Dundee. So she knows the village well, and she actually worked on the plan back when she was with Carlisle Wortman too.
Good, thank you. Mike?
Well, right now, I just want to say everything is looking good in the village. Kudos to everybody that's put out the hard work for everything they've done. Fred has already covered what I was going to say about the Bell Estates and Clean Tech, that the Planning Commission is going ahead, waiting for the approval of the excuse me, waiting for the approval of the access over the detention, as far as that goes, so he's told you about that. For the October 19th, this month, this Saturday, is a pain management community education event out in Monroe for the Monroe County Substance Abuse Coalition that you may or may not be wanted to go to. It'll teach you about physical therapy, art therapy, Reiki, pet therapy, behavioral therapy, exercise, fitness, chiropractic medicine, Tai Chi, yoga, medical marijuana, and more. Dark-heat training to be offered. So this is you can bring any of your used drugs or any drugs that you don't have around, or that are around the house that you want to get rid of, that you don't know what to do with them. You can bring them to the Mall of Monroe at 10 o'clock in the morning. There will be there people there to take them from you and take care of them for you. This is done, like I said, by Monroe County Substance Abuse, and hopefully we want to bring more of this to our village so that we can have seminars and things like this here also. That's what I would like to do.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I'd like to thank, sure.
Yep. One of the things I'm going to suggest that we do going forward, if you don't mind, you go to all of the CUMSI meetings, I know. You've seen you there, and
Yeah.
you know how they set up their boards. I would like to see, if possible, that we establish a location with a desk in the front here for
you to sit.
myself, the manager, to sit at that location.
That, I agree.
And also for the clerk, also would not be, would also have her own location, so that we could be available. I mean, the bottom line is, you are the elected officials. You 7 are the elected officials of the community. The clerk, myself, and the manager are employees of the village. I think it would be helpful and would be beneficial to set up an arrangement of that. I'd like to see the council move towards that as a way of getting better flow of information to the council through this process.
Sure. We could even have the police chief set up over on the side. This is the way Milan does it too, with the village manager, city manager sits up front, clerk sits off to the side like the village manager does, and Tecumseh, there's a little bit different. We could work that out.
But I would like to see that be set up so that there could be a better communication, flow of information from your employees to your council.
All right. Thank you. Now I'd like to, village president comments. I'd like to thank the DPW for all the fine work they do for keeping our town looking nice. And I'd like to thank the residents of Rawson Place who put on a nice surprise party for Sophia Sarin, who turned 100 years old. She was very surprised, and I give her a symbolic key to the village. And along with that, she got several fine, nice birthday cards, and I'd like to thank the ladies out at Rawson Place for inviting me. It was a nice party. The Pumpkin Palooza, like we've already said, was a great success. It was very sunny. It was a cool day. The Church of Nazarene ran out of small pumpkins being carved for the kids. So the John Harnica family, they donated the pumpkins within minutes. And I'd like to thank John and Dawn Harnica for that. And like Mary stated, some of the restaurants ran out and they ran low because of certain foods, but there were a lot of people. And thanks for attended to make it a success. And thanks for the DDA for putting it on. Now we will go to citizens' comments, please. And John? Excuse me.
John Eichels. I'm one of the commissioners of the Rawson Place, the HUD housing. Matter of fact, I'm the vice president, and I've been there quite a few years. And this is news to me, what that letter from Costello. I mean, I know it's getting close to Halloween, but hey, now, believe me, it will be looked into. And I'm sorry that it had to be brought up here, that it didn't come to us as. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, John. Danny, I think you had something to say. Danny Wright, did you want to speak?
Tim, I don't think it's appropriate to call on citizens to come up. It almost seems as if you've planted people.
No,
in
I'm
the
not
audience.
planning. He
Okay.
just, he needed to say something, and he may not want to now, but he told me before the meeting. I just didn't want to miss him.
I don't think it's
Is that
appropriate.
okay?
Yeah, I just don't think it's
Okay.
appropriate to call on people, though.
I'll keep trying to run this meeting, and then, Danny, do you have something to say? You're more than welcome, because I know you had that stuff wrote down about the crosswalk. If not, I'll go to somebody else.
Well, no, you won't go to somebody else. It's their right to walk up. You don't appoint people to come up and speak. No, I'm not out of order. You don't appoint people to come up here and speak. That's not your job as president.
I think Fred was just commenting about your attitudes and your way you're talking.
You're more than entitled to
Thank
come
you.
up and not be called up.
Okay, not a problem. Jesus. I got
No, just
certain
Denny.
papers on the corner there, malicious destruction property by Chief Garbo, who says he's not going rogue, so that we know upon receiving that paperwork. That's the latest paperwork that came in the 8th. I get it regularly, in case you're wondering. And I had to go call Mr. David Arthur and have some paperwork done on my own. And for a couple of grand, I found out the paperwork and the property is, it is not the village's. There's copies certified for you by the state of Michigan. They haven't been done in that corner in probably 100 years. Therefore, I contacted Mrs. Zagorski, an attorney right there in the office, and she contacted one of the men over there in the prosecuting office, and also had a discussion over all this, and got the paperwork dismissed at this time. I never understood why the corner was so important to take over anyways. I've been there 38 years, never had one problem. All of a sudden now it's a danger. All of a sudden it's a vaudeville act. We got lights up and we got shows going on. It was all over the children's safety that we closed the street. But it seems to me there was no motive going on, and I'm not too sure about it. I've got it for you, paperwork here. I'd like copies of everything regarding that road, if you don't mind, Mr. Bordine. We talk about how we communicate here. I will also give you some photos. I take photos of things too. I can order you. This is all the vehicles. I did all the repair work here when Dave was chief. And I painted everything for the department at the beginning of it, and all of the repairs. We talk about transparency. I can only tell you that I've got photos here in all of these copies of the gentlemen, including Gary Dull, right there on the corner. No one could communicate with me. No one could come over and talk to me. You're all there. Dave's there. I've got Ron there. I've got everybody there. I've been taking photos for forever. And I'm not sure exactly why we talk about they're not rogue. So, on that moment, I will say, Garbo turned me into Monroe County. Why didn't he come over and discuss it with me? He's not rogue. Officer Olette called one of my customers, threatened and pounded. The vehicle was not on private, it was on private property. I says, here we go. You excavated on my property with Police Officer Schumacher. Again, another officer. It's always the police department. I'd like this on the agenda for the next 2 weeks so I can get representation in here. Maybe we can discuss this, find out where we're going, since none of us are rogue. And talking out of order, I don't like it at all. I think Fred commented that he's going to put something together, so maybe you guys will quit getting in arguments up there on the stage. It don't look good. I can argue. Greeks are comment for that. So I don't appreciate the paperwork at all in my 38 history here. I'm very surprised that you couldn't communicate with me. I had to go through Monroe County. So I'm not doing well. I'm not used to coming up here and discussing this with anybody in all my years here. And I've been here a long time, since she was in school. A lot of you probably weren't here then, but I have been. So I've done my time. I've served this department a long time. I don't appreciate any of it, and I think it's all fictitious. So I'll take my copies. We'll move forward to the next meeting. Maybe Mr. Lucas can get his paperwork done too. You can all learn how to respect each other up there, and we can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions from the
My name is Patrick McIntyre. I work for the school district for Monroe County, running auto-body shop program. Mr. Batianis has taken in students for I don't know how many years. I've never seen him do anything but help this community personally, and taking in our students, not only locally, but from other schools throughout the entire county, and help these kids learn some work ethic and get a head start in life. And I don't understand what's going on here. It's all bewildering to me. And that's all I have to say.
Is there any other citizens' comments? Howard?
Thank you. On this last meeting here about clean tech, and this 4 minutes per person, I wish we could change that to I think everybody out here deserves at least 5 minutes. We would like to be heard. We are taxpayers. We are people of this community. But I know we're giving a tax break to the clean tech out there, but I would like to just say something. When Salabeam Welding asked for a tax break with 12 to 15 employees, they were turned down. They were told didn't have enough people. But, so they went ahead anyhow, and they started to build their building, and then all of a sudden they had to get shut down because the commercial block they had wasn't decorative block. So they tore it down, put up commercial decorative block. But when they got all done, they had to put up landscaping that covered all the block. Made no sense. They build all our railings, they do a lot for this community, and they do a lot for the school. And that name is well known, and it's the best neighbors I could ever have. They'll give you a shirt off their back. I don't think that they've been treated fairly. Maybe they don't have as much money as Clean Tech, but I think they could be treated a little bit fairly. And my next thing is, I'm picking up these Sauvé home signs at my salvage yard. They just blow over all the time. I pick them up. I take them over there. I look at these houses being built. I don't know anybody. Some of them don't even speak English. But if 40 residents of this town build a house, they all got to pay a water tap at $4,100 a piece. That's $164,000. But we let some rich people come in and they just build 40 houses, and when they're done, they walk away. Thank you. Didn't pay nothing. A little bit unfair to the residents that pay the taxes here, that shop here, that buy their food here, their gas here, and go to restaurants here. Why do they get treated so bad? I don't know. And my next thing is, I take my grandson to school, and it is the worst nightmare to go to school, to take somebody there, because this all reminds me of the movie with Kurt Russell, Escape from New York. We're trying to escape out of Dundee, but we keep shutting roads down. We keep taking parking lots and turning them into nurseries, and you got all this new business and people building apartments. Where are they all gonna go? How are they gonna get out of the school? I just watched somebody back into somebody the other day. Wanted to turn down Ypsilanti Street. Oh, can't go. No, that's blocked off. Back up, hit somebody. Luckily, it wasn't very bad, but 6 of us had to back up. I got to come down 50, turn right on Main Street, left on the little side street across from Dundee Auto Parts. It used to have 3 parking spots, but no, they had to plant a tree there. Now we only got 2. We just keep getting more people, and we just keep taking the roads away and the parking lots away. I do not understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. And why we want to, if we're going to build this community, let's at least have some parking. Let's at least have a way to get to and from. Let's stop blocking off roads. We've got green spots, and 80 foot away we got another one. If some kid from Lansing is riding his bicycle and wants to have a drink of water, let him go to the park. That's what the parks are for. I mean, 80 foot away we got another green spot. I'm with Chris. That's wrong. That did not help the relief of traffic from this school. Buddy, when you go and pick somebody up at school, you can hardly get out. That would have been much wiser to make a one-way street that could at least come down, turn right on Main, and then on to 50. It just makes no sense to have 2 of them right next to each other. And I just wish that this council would once in a while think things over a little bit more. Maybe talk to the people in the community. I voted for him, and I'll vote for him again. At least he come and talk to me. At least he cares. He's trying to do something. And I see disrespect up here. And I'm with Chris. I don't think we need it. And there needs to be some little bit better order. And when this 2-year terms is up, well, if he gets somebody else in. I hope not, because I like this guy. He cares about the people, whether you like his decisions or not. But I think he's trying to do good. And I think he deserves a little more respect than what you people give him.
Thank you for the kind words, Howard. Is there any other questions or any other comments tonight from the citizens? Yes, please come up here, Irene.
All I want to know is, when somebody sends a letter to this council, they don't show up to honor this letter. Why don't you discontinue the letter? Put it aside or something. I'm talking about the letter that Tim got. I mean, everybody's looking at me. Hello?
We're not allowed to comment.
This
We're not
is a
allowed to
discussion.
comment back
I
to
know,
you.
I'm just making a joke. But I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. I could send a letter here, and I don't have to show up to honor that letter? That don't make sense to me. Something's wrong. Something's wrong somewhere here. That's true. Thank you.
Yep. Oh, thanks, Irene. Are there other questions tonight?
Durham Ahmedi. In regards to Chris has done nothing but good things for this community. I get up early in the morning, one lady was locked out of her car at 6:30 in the morning. Kids got in his car and went and locked her car. Asked her for nothing. People have gotten flat tires. Chris has fixed them. Asked for nothing. People have I bumped into a teacher. Chris said, told that teacher, you come bring your car, I'll take care of it. Never asked me for a penny. What Chris does for his community is good. And to get shafted, he's gotten shafted, I'll admit it. And you two, it's pathetic. Pathetic to sit there and argue in front of these people. How are you not ashamed? I got an 8-year-old daughter who knows better discipline.
Please keep your voice.
I mean, it's embarrassing.
Please, it's also embarrassing. We're not here to shout at each other.
It's not the first time this has happened. We've made Facebook, we've made MySpace, Twitter, Instagram, all that jinga janga. Come on now. We should be all on the same page here. Let's grow up. I mean, we're adults, not children. Let's act like it.
Are there any other questions tonight? Citizens' comments. Hearing none and seeing none, I make the motion that we're adjourned.